New Zealand's busiest airport, Auckland, is a place where thousands of people wait every day for the first glimpse of their loved one. But Aucklander Remy Bachumi is very worried that there'll be no joyful reunion for his family today.
My nephew is coming with Thai Airways.
Thai Airways, yeah.
I want to confirm. Do you have a manifest to confirm if he's on a plane?
It's up to the airlines whether they tell you or not, but it's not. It's illegal.
Thank you. Thanks.
Remy fears that his nephew Zabulon, a 16-year-old orphan who he's adopted, may not have got on the plane.
Of course, I have some concerns because I'm not really sure that he happened to go on a plane and maybe he's not here. Anyway, I'm kind of concerned, but hopefully that he will be here around.
Remy and his family are former refugees from the East African nation of Burundi, one of the poorest countries in the world. Like its neighbour Rwanda, Burundi's people have suffered decades of slaughter.
I left Burundi when I was 9 months old. It was because of the war, and my dad and my two elder brothers were killed, so I had to leave. And my mom took me and my siblings outside Burundi, and we went in Rwanda. So it was a carnage and problems everywhere, so I had to run away, and I went in Kenya, and I stayed there in Nairobi for 10 years. The hardest thing is the time I jumped from the 3rd floor to the ground floor when I was running away from the police. But I was taking a risk as well because they were just seeing if anyone is running away, they could shoot him. And that's the most difficult situation I can recall in my life when I was a refugee back in Kenya.
All Burundian refugees have been through a hell that's worse than most Kiwis could imagine. Alexis, who was a school teacher, narrowly escaped being burnt alive in his own home.
At that time, it was because I was a Hutu. They were looking for me because they came 3 times. They came 3 times surrounding my house. The 3rd time is where they burnt the house. So this shows no more staying. Otherwise, I will lose my life.
Alexis and his family spent the next few years living in refugee camps under atrocious conditions.
Don't think that you will get a good life in a refugee camp. The shelter, first of all. When you go, you will never have a house. We were living in plastic sheets just surrounding just your shelter, and you were hiding there. I didn't feel safe, feeling in danger, extremely in danger. Indigenous people were killing refugees like they are killing an ant like that.
Jules, who is now settled in New Zealand with his family, was also lucky to escape alive.
The army eventually came and they were getting people out of their houses. Some of them who were unfortunate were killed. There was a family that we were staying with, and the lady used to work in the presidential palace. It was by luck that one of the soldiers knew her. Just before that, some of the soldiers who were coming, they were saying, let's shoot these people, let's shoot them. But eventually one of them who recognized her basically said, no, let's not do it. And then we were eventually taken out of the area into this big ground. You are under the mercy of the captors, so they can do whatever they want with you. I remember my dad and my 2 big brothers being taken in the trucks by the military. We've heard stories that a number of trucks that took people at that time basically disappeared. We couldn't find them, or nobody basically know what happened to them. During that time, we had no news of my dad and my 2 brothers. Me, my mom, and my younger brother, and all my uncles just stayed there, and we just didn't know what to do.
The mass killings in Burundi was sparked by conflict between Tutsi and Hutu ethnic groups, but those with mixed parentage face a unique dilemma.
For me, it was also difficult because I come of different ethnic parents, my mother and my father. So I could be either way. But in order to be either way, you have to choose. And to choose in those situations, that means you have to oppose the other side, and just to make sure they can have, they can trust you. Otherwise, they say, they don't really fully trust you because they know you have relatives there and you have relatives here. So for me, It got to the point where I really couldn't find myself where I was sitting.
Jean-Marie nearly lost his life one day during his lunch hour.
And all of a sudden, they just pulled me out of the car and they started saying, oh, we're gonna kill him. And they came with, you know, those sticks and stuff. And the guy was screaming, oh, don't kill him, it's my colleagues, and I know him. They started beating him up. So some people start saying, oh, I will take the shoes. You know, that they are deciding what they're gonna take after they kill me. The others say, I take the jacket. Oh, no, I take the watch and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, there's a guy I was with him at high school. He came and said, hey, no, he said, stop. He asked me, he said, what are you doing here? I said, no, I'm just picking up stuff with my colleagues here, but this guy wanted to kill me. And he pushed them away. He said, no, don't kill him. This guy, he's okay. You know, he's not a bad guy. And I started asking, oh, what about my stuff? He said, oh, you silly. You know, you're lucky enough to be alive. Now you're asking for those things. I go. And then I left.
Most refugees have been subject to persecution because of their race, religion or nationality. Alexis and his family endured many years of hardship, but eventually they arrived as part of New Zealand's annual quota of 750 refugees.
I managed to get the resettlement by family reunification. So now the good life at least.
Jules, his mother and his two brothers arrived in New Zealand in 2000.
The first impression that I got was when we were at the refugee center in Mangere, and in the afternoons after the classes, you were normally let, to go outside, and we will just go, go around the area, but we couldn't see any people. It says, this country is empty.
When Remy Bichumi arrived in New Zealand, he also had mixed feelings.
2004, I came in New Zealand together with my wife and my daughter.
But Remy had left behind his daughter from a previous relationship, Katia.
I could not come with my daughter Katia because she was born from my former girlfriend, and she was with her mum by the time I came in New Zealand.
Jules was also struggling to settle in New Zealand, having been separated from his father for over 6 years.
We were sort of wondering what was happening, of course. Yes, so he stayed in Burundi and my two brothers. I was obviously feared that I would never see my dad or my two brothers.
Remy was eventually allowed to bring Katia to New Zealand thanks to the government's family reunification policy.
I think meeting my dad, coming here and to live with him was the most exciting thing for me. Coming and having other friends and meeting new people and new cultures and experiencing another new life.
Refugees do not choose to go to another country. Refugees are uprooted.
For refugee campaigner Jenny Broom, these family reunifications are crucial to successful integration.
I personally have been involved in the refugee program, in working with it and supporting it since 1990. And during that time, it has been obvious to me that family reunion is one of the, probably it is the most significant, most pressing issue for refugee families.
And this was certainly true for Remy, who could not forget his young nephew still living back in Kenya.
When he lost his mom, he went in the refugee camp together with the mother's family in Tanzania. And he left Tanzania to come to live with his dad. And when his dad passed away, you can imagine these changes have been affecting him in his living condition, I believe.
But Zabulon was denied entry to New Zealand because he was not Remy's son.
I went to some friends of mine and asked for advices, and they told me, look, the only way you can do that is just to make adoption, to apply for adoption. And I started to apply for adoption in 2008, 3 years ago.